G'day, it's Robbie again. Well, a little while back I did a couple of videos on knurling. One was basics of knurling and the other one was feed knurling. And anyway, that was that. Anyway, a little while later I was looking at a forum and reading the postings, and a guy there asked about aftermarket knurls, you know, Chinese knurls, were they any good and all the rest of it. And he was looking at doing some linear knurling. A linear knurl is a knurl that has a horizontal pattern. It just has the single impression. It's not a crisscross giving you that diamond pattern. And I haven't actually got a linear knurl. And I read the post and it was interesting. And for a while, until all forums, it degenerated into, you know, sniping contest and big noting contest, and it's the bane of forums. You know, they could be good and they are good, and there's lots of really excellent people on them, but you get these dickheads on there who just try and take over, and it really friggin' annoys me. Anyway, having got that off my chest, I decided I'd get a linear knurl from China. I'd previously bought some ordinary, you know, crisscross knurls for diamond patterns. So I'll show you what I got and we'll look to see if they're any good. So here's my old knurl, which you would have seen before. It's just a cheap HBM, but it's a good little knurl and it wasn't very expensive and it does what I want it to do. And it came with this pattern knurl wheel, which is fine. And later down the track I bought some medium ones from China, which are these. There you go. Oh, run away. I'll have a close up and you can see what the difference in the patterns is. Alright, well here's the original pattern, and here's the much heavier pattern that I got from China. And these were good, hard, you know, they did a good job. I've done a lot of knurling with these. The only problem with them was that the holes in the centre were slightly undersized and I had to open them out. Now you can't do that with a drill because this stuff is so damn hard. So I used a diamond burr in my little air dye grinder mounted in the lathe tool post, and it did it no problem. There's a video on that. If you go back through my old videos you'll see it. And these are good. I've used these for a lot of knurling. So, did the Chinese knurl, the other Chinese knurls arrive okay, and what do they look like? Well, I'll show you. Here they are. They look like knurl wheels. And the 1 mil pitch on them is about what I want for doing knobs and stuff like that. I had a little chuckle because the seller did a good job of posting them, and he even wrapped them up in bubble wrap to protect them. I mean, these are like, you know, as hard as hell. So bubble wrap was a bit of overkill, but I suppose it stopped the knurls from rubbing a hole through the postal package. But at least he did do a good job on sending them, and he was quick. And these were only like $6 or $7, $6 or $7. It was very, you know, very cheap. I mean, you can't complain. Okay, we'll move on. The original knurl wheels are fine, diagonal pattern, and these are 1 mil pitch, linear pitch. And I'd say these are probably 1 mil as well. Looking at them, it looks very similar. You can see how that is. Now, the question is, will they fit correctly? The specification on these is 19 mil diameter, which, well, they're obviously around the mark. 8 mil wide. Once again, a little bit, you know, variation won't matter as long as they go in. But importantly, the centre hole's got to be 6 mil. Now, this was the problem with the last ones I bought from China. The hole was too small, just a tiny bit. So we'll knock out the pin on this and we'll see how it fits, if it fits. the floor as usual. So here's our little pin. Here's our new knurl. Will it fit? Well, almost, but not quite. It goes in, but it's not turning, it's too tight. Let's try this one. See, this one won't go in at all, so there's a slight variation in those centres for a start, but that pin won't go in there at all. So exactly the same problem as I had last time. I'm going to have to grind these centres out bigger. So, oh well, you get to see me use the little air die grinder and carbide diamond burr, and it should open those out in a matter of seconds. The important thing is, how does this stuff really measure up? So we better look at that. We'll run the eye gauging over it. 19.1. .98, slight difference, but nothing to worry about. Width 7.95, 7.95, that's okay. Centre hole 6.34, 6.10, so they're both oversized, even though they aren't exactly the same size. So they're on the good side of the error, at least they're slightly bigger, so they should fit. So that means the pin is oversized. So we'll mic up the pin, see what we get. Oops. My trusty little Mitsu Toyo, 0 to 20, which is a good size to buy for this sort of work. You know, most of the time you're only working in that range. 6.30. So 6.3 versus 6.1, you know, something, and 6 point less. So that's why it won't go in the hole, because the pin is too big. So it means that the actual cheap scissor knurl is the problem. That well, specification wise, at the end of the day it doesn't really matter, because you can just grind out the holes, but it is a nuisance if you haven't got any way of doing that, because you can't drill these. This stuff's so hard. So we will do that. We will now move on and rectify the situation, but this is what you get when you buy stuff. It's not always the specification, and you can't blame the Chinese in this case, because, well, they're probably both made in China. The Chinese knurl wheels, you can't blame the guys that made them, because they are actually slightly oversized and they should fit, but they don't. Alright, we'll move on. To do this, we're going to use the cheap indispensable pencil air die grinder with a 4mm diamond cylinder burr in it. We're going to mount it in a little mount that goes on here like this, and then goes in the tool post, and then we'll mount the knurl wheel in the headstock of the lathe. Now you could use the chuck, or preferably use a collet. I'll use a collet because it will be more accurate, but you know, it's up to you how you do it. Of the two pins in the scissor knurl, one measures at 6.3, another one was 6.35, so we will use the one that measures at 6.35, the bigger one, for the sizing. So we'll basically just run the burr in and out of this while the lathe's spinning, and we'll size it with the pin until we get a snug fit, and then we're good to go. We'll do that for both the wheels, and basically job's done. So I'll mount this in the lathe, and we'll get cracking. Okay, well, we're good to go. I've got the first knurl wheel mounted in the collet chuck, and I've got the little die grinder set to go, so we'll fire it up and we'll open out the hole. check it as you go along. Doesn't take much. A bit more. Good. That'll do. So now we're ready to put it together, which is just the reverse of how we pull it apart. Just knock in the pins. Very high tech about these knurls, and then we'll be good to do some knurling. But that'll have to be the next video because we've already run out of time on this one, and I'll have to set up the lathe for a bit of test knurling, and we'll see how good these cheap Chinese knurl wheels really are. Okay, well that's it from me. As regards to these knurls, you can shim them if you want to. I've never bothered, and they seem to do the job okay, but it's up to you. Alright, that's it. Time to go. Time to have some lunch, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.